Hey BroMob, we got a great show lined up for you today. But first, I want to remind you all about Key to the Title. Key to the Title is a season-long tool that you can use to gain an advantage against your league mates. Looking for help for your draft? We have all the draft advice you'll need, with tiered rankings, player projections, cheat sheets, and more. After you've dominated your draft, stay with us for season-long advice, including weekly rankings, waiver wire tips, start sit advice, and so much more. Key to the Title goes live this summer. Check out keytothetitle.com today. Yo! Welcome to the show, BroMob. We're your hosts, Chad and Brian. Today is Monday, July 22nd, and it is hot outside. Just like this episode, it's going to be hot, humid, steamy, and you might be a little sweaty afterwards. Welcome in, Brian. Welcome to the show. Today we've got some crazy subjects to go over. We're finishing up our outlooks for AFC and NFC West. Tyreek Hill. Wow, the news has dropped. Zeke, double wow. More news has dropped. And, man, we just got tons of news to kind of go through today. Brian, what's up? Stop it with your mannerisms, with your hands, hannerisms, and start acting real.
There is no real. There's only what you perceive to be reality.
You just hit me with a McConaughey? McConaugheyism.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, man. Huge news. This has been one of the busiest weeks I feel like we've ever had.
Man, I've
I
lost some hair.
You have
not even
no
on my
beard.
head. My beard's gone. Just
Beard
from
is
what's
gone.
happened. I haven't even
fell out.
I didn't even look at a shaver, Brian. I just had this happen to me. It was just
A shaver floated into the room and shaved you. That's how crazy of a week it's been.
It left the mustache for some reason.
Dude, I don't even know where to begin. This has been an insane week. We have so much to talk about.
Let's talk about the biggest news.
Yes.
The biggest news, Top Gun
Oh
is back.
My God, dude. Top
Maverick.
Gun. New
Hasn't
Top
aged.
Gun trailer blew my mind. I also somehow missed the last It teaser trailer or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. That blew my mind. And then thirdly, saw Lion King. That did not blow my mind.
What?
Yeah, here's the deal. Chad, you and I grew up watching the original, right? So
The best.
I went in with these big expectations. And let me rewind. It wasn't bad. I give it a 4 out of 5. So it's not bad.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, it's Lion King. You can't really mess it up unless you're just terrible, which they weren't. However, there were some key parts. I'm not going to blow anything up here. There were some key parts of the movie that were my favorite parts of the original that were missing in this one, and it really upset me. Specifically,
Did Rafiki hit Simba in the head?
I'm not going to say anything.
It doesn't matter.
Here's the deal. There are
It's
a couple parts of the movie involving 1, a monkey, 2, Timon and Pumbaa, 3, that's it really, it's just those 3 guys. So I was really upset that these parts were not in the movie. It really rubbed me wrong. So I left the movie just with this meh. It was all right. I mean, it was Lion King. It looked amazing. Mm-hmm. The visual part
As
of it,
should.
They crushed it, dude. I mean, it was a good movie in that aspect, but I was really, I was visibly upset.
Yeah, I'm kind of avoiding Aladdin for that same reason because I loved Aladdin as a kid. That was my ish, my little scratch in the back.
Yeah. So I mean, other than that, man, it's been a crazy week. We got so much to talk about. So I think we should probably just get right into it. First of all, what happened to your beard?
So yeah, I shaved it. I got stubbles.
I see a little
left a mustache.
Something. Yeah, you got a little hair there. I see it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Something there.
But it's certainly not a big beard like I had before.
It's a good
it's
change.
It's certainly more than you could ever grow. So
by far. Yeah, by far. Mine would come in as 3 hairs on my face. So
I think I see them actually.
Yeah, they're on there right now. I just
A couple
haven't
hairs.
I haven't shaved in 3 weeks, so 3 hairs, 3 weeks. That's how long it takes.
1 hair per
But
week.
yeah,
Maths.
but yeah, man, lots to chat about today. We're recording Sunday, obviously. We drop Mondays. Everybody knows that now. Today has been an insanely busy day, so just gonna put that out there.
Foreshadowing.
Yes.
We've been working.
Yes.
All right, BroMob. If you haven't already, check us out on jointhebromob.com. Become official BroMob member. Support the show. We've got plenty of content out there for you. We got exclusive articles. We'll be putting out some bonus episodes very soon, actually. Brian and I have already been talking about what we're going to be putting together, where we're going to be putting them and stuff for you guys to kind of see. So that'll be out there very soon. You guys get automatically entered at BroMob giveaways. We got an awesome one going on right now. A signed DeAndre Hopkins jersey. We got 2 weeks left on that one. Go out there, sign up, become an official BroMobster, get those extra votes, and try to get that jersey because it's as hot as today is. So jointhebromob.com. Don't miss it. And also be sure to follow along after the show with us on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, Facebook at FF Bros Podcast. And you can also search the hashtag BroMob to check out any of our past history, some of our past news, some of our past shenanigans. It's a good time. Brian, let's go ahead, get started with the show, and hit up some news.
Here's the news.
So, man, this is the news we've all been waiting for. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Brian for the breaking news.
Brian? And to watch.
The mood is tense. We've got Tyreek Hill here trying to get a live interview with him. They said, nope, he's in the NFL, Brian. We don't even know who you are. Get out of here before we sue you. So
literally sue the pants off of you.
Get out of here, Tyreek.
So we
jerk.
ran away. Yes, Tyreek jerk.
That's right.
So after thorough investigations, the NFL has decided to not suspend the Kansas City Chiefs star wide receiver for any of those allegations that were against him. They apparently didn't see that he had broken any of the NFL's personal conduct policies. There wasn't enough evidence there. And we're not really going to focus on what may have or may have not happened with him. Here at the Fantasy Football Bros, we don't condone any of those allegations that happened. However, we are going to talk about the fantasy implementations. My goodness, I can't
implementations.
Talk ever. Words. I need to know them. Implications that come from this, and kind of move forward with that. So, Brian, from a fantasy perspective, this is huge. Where do you rank him?
Yeah, so it is huge. It moves him. He was outside of my top 100, and well outside of my top 50, 60, 70 wide receivers. I mean, I didn't even really have him ranked at one point. So now he automatically moves up. He's my number 7 ranked with a TH.
Oh, we both can't talk.
Neither of us can speak English right now. He's my number 7 ranked wide. I still can't say it, man. He is my number 7 ranked wide receiver. English.
Okay, so you got him in the top 10. I'm a little bit more on the train. And I'm looking, Brian, I've got him in top 3. And I might be crazy for it, but I've got Devontae Adams, number 1, DeAndre Hopkins, number 2, and I've rolled Tyreek Hill up there at number 3, above Michael Thomas, Julio Jones. I see it. He's got the it factor, most electrifying guy in NFL sports entertainment today. He's the Rock, tiny version of the Rock. He's like, if Kevin Hart were ever to turn into the Rock, that's who Tyreek Hill is. He's a bolt of energy. He's a bolt of everything. He's electrifying. So I've got him at number 3. Pat Mahomes. Pair him with that big old cannon of an arm. I think it's going to be a repeat of last year, where he's just taking the tops off of defenses.
Yeah. I don't doubt that he's electric like you say he is. I just can't see myself taking guys like Michael Thomas, OBJ, or Julio Jones over him. And I get it. But he's extremely up and down during the season. He has those games where he will win you the week. You could have an egg in multiple positions and have him blow up, and he still wins you the week. So
yes,
I think he's still that guy. I get it. He's one of those boom bust guys every week. And so I for that reason, that's why I ranked him a little bit lower. But yeah, I get it.
You like to Shark Tank things now. For that reason, I'm out.
So I've been watching a little bit of Shark Tank lately. This might have something to do with it. Not going to deny. And for that reason, I'll move on.
Moving on. Jesus, Brian. The Cowboys running back star, Ezekiel Elliott, has privately stated, well, I guess not so private anymore since it's kind of out in public, has stated that he plans on holding out during training camp unless he's given a new deal. So as I kind of said last week, that whole Melvin Gordon spiel, Zeke was paying attention, and he's kind of, I don't think he's going as rough or as tough as Melvin Gordon's kind of coming out and stating, but yeah, a holdout from training camp could be big, but personally, I don't think this is very large fantasy impact for him. I think he still plays. He's Zeke. He loves to play football. He hates being out of it. When he was suspended, he hated it. I think he still plays.
Yeah, it's really interesting he's doing this with all of the negative news he's been a part of lately. You would think he'd want to kind of lay low. This doesn't really, I don't think it helps his negotiating. He really doesn't have much leverage. And so
I don't think he lays low in general. He's
no,
Zeke.
I don't think he does either. And so here's the deal. I think this is news you just look at and go, that's interesting. He's probably going to keep his body healthy. It actually may help. I don't know. Maybe he gets off to a little bit of a slower start because of it, but he's still Zeke Elliott. I think he plays, and I don't think there's anything to be concerned about here.
Some other big news. Atlanta Falcons star wide receiver Julio Jones, unlike Zeke, is planning on showing up for training camp and participating despite not having the long-term extension wrapped up from the team. So this is good news from fantasy owners. You don't have to worry about him holding out or doing anything crazy. Julio Jones is business as usual. He's coming in. He's playing. The only question is, when's he going to grow that long hair back? Because I miss it. Julio Jones with the long hair, I loved it. Him without the hair, a little alien looking.
Get it done.
So, Brian, we've got some breaking news as of today. Some big names that are starting to show up on the active physically unable to perform list or the PUP list. Players DeAndre Hopkins and Sony Michel. Hopkins actually claimed to have torn ligaments off of the bone during the playoffs of last year. So he's just not participating. The good news is, since this is the active list, both of these players have a chance of participating in practices and kind of coming in. Later on, they can get activated. They don't need to wait out X number of games, and you'll miss out on that stuff. So Sony Michel seems to be still recovering from the knee scope that he received in the offseason, which is actually good news. He's getting that maintenance on his body to keep up in health. So I don't see this being any kind of big thing. We already knew Hopkins and Sony were recovering from some stuff that happened. And so they're just going to be missing out on some of this practice, staying healthy for this coming season. So I don't see anything big.
Yeah, I would say not an issue. So I agree completely.
And finally, the Philadelphia Eagles have signed the 947-year-old running back Darren Sproles to a 1-year contract extension, which is just muddling that backfield up even more than it already was. I mean, we're talking about a backfield that already had Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, Corey Clement, and Wendell Smallwood, and Josh Adams. I mean, it's way too muddled. Some of these names aren't even going to make the list anymore. If Darren Sproles is getting signed, I think Josh Adams is out. We already kind of speculated that anyway, but I think he's for sure gone now. I think Corey Clement, his status on the team is up for grabs now. And yeah, I think it's just going to kind of eat into some of the little bit of that Miles Sanders production, maybe. But I think Darren Sproles is there maybe for some special teams work and some other stuff as well.
So 2 things on this. Number one is 947-year-old Darren Sproles, still not the oldest guy in the league. 1 year behind the 948-year-old Frank Gore. So
the never aging Frank Gore. So Frank Gore is just a cyborg. He's a cybernetic organism that just kind of feeds off of oil and other trinkets like that. So Frank Gore, never aging because he's a cyborg.
Yes, and then also, did you just use the word expeculated?
Did I really?
I can't wait to run it back because I'm almost 1,000% sure that you used the word expeculated.
I really hope I did.
Which, if you did, is amazing. Thank you.
I might be better at making words up than George Bush. George W. Bush was. I'm just putting it out there. Strategery ain't got nothing on expeculated. So
a strategery created expeculated.
Expeculations are stations between relations.
You're also good at rhyming. Good job.
And with that, that will be the end of our news for the week. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter for your up-to-date updates around the NFL today. Brian, let's move on and let's finish up those outlooks.
Judgment time.
Love it.
All right, so the AFC and NFC West, man, these are some divisions that are powered by two, if not more, so two very, very high-powered offenses and some other extremely high-powered offenses. Some really tough divisions and some really big playmaking teams that are out there. So, Brian, let's get into this. Let's start off, as always, with the AFC and hit up the AFC West.
AFC West.
So the AFC West, man, this is kind of where we've got some offensive power for fantasy purposes. I'm gonna start it off with just some of the things that I really like here. So I'm really one of the big believers in the Antonio Brown situation. Some people are kind of down on the fact that he's going to the Raiders. He's not going to be anywhere near as productive as he was in Pittsburgh. I don't think that's the case. Antonio Brown is still Antonio Brown, and the guy's still going to be incredibly hard to cover. All Derek Carr needs to do is open his eyeballs, because he'll have a wide open Antonio Brown on 60-70% of the plays that he's actually running. So long as he can see him, I think he's got a big old target right there that he can hit. Another big target that he can hit, and a lot of people aren't kind of talking about him there, is tight end Darren Waller. So Darren Waller is kind of one of those sneaky sleeper picks that are out in the cosmos. No one's drafting him. No one's even thinking about him. But last year, Jared Cook was one of the top tight ends in the league with Derek Carr. Derek Carr likes to throw it in the middle to a safety valve quite often. And if his wide receivers aren't open and if he's not looking at the running back, Darren Waller could be one of those sneaky tight ends that could be open quite often for him and could become a red zone threat possibility there on the offense. So those are some big names there on the Raiders that I really like. Brian, is there anybody else in this division that you kind of like?
Yeah, so, I mean, I really like the Chiefs. And before I get into them, though, who doesn't? But, I think every team here has a pretty good fantasy valuable team. And so
I agree.
The Raiders, you'd mentioned Antonio Brown. I mean, I agree completely. I would also add to that a little bit while we're on the conversation of the Raiders. I like Tyrell Williams as a little bit of a sleeper. Look, this is a kid that played for the Chargers, so same division, just moved teams, and had a decent season last year. He had 650 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season in 2018, which isn't bad. And he had a dynamic wide receiver on the other end of him too. Mm-hmm. And so I think Tyrell Williams could see pretty good coverage. I think Antonio Brown's going to draw the double coverage. I really think Tyrell Williams is in line for a similar stat, if not a little bit more of an uptick. This is a team that is likely to play from behind, so maybe they're passing it a little bit more. But I also like, obviously, like I said, the Chiefs. The breaking news that we hit today, Tyreek Hill, that automatically catapults him into huge contention. So I think the Chiefs are back in the mix it helps everybody on that team. It helps out Mahomes tremendously. I also think it helps out Damian Williams.
Does it make them Super Bowl favorites, do you think?
They're up there, yeah. I think the AFC, they got to be top 3. I refuse to count Brady out until he's retired. So right now, my Patriots, my team to pick are the Patriots. And so until Brady is dead, actually, so he might not even play in the NFL. I'll still pick Brady.
Does he play until he dies? Is that the question that we're asking here?
Well, according to the Face app, I think somebody did like a picture of Brady, and he had both fists up, and they superimposed a ton of championship rings. They're like Tom Brady playing at 72 with 18 championships or something like that. Was hilarious.
That's great. Speaking of Tyreek Hill, I've already mentioned my love for him, but there's another player that I actually really love that's his value has just plummeted because of Tyreek Hill coming back, and that's Sammy Watkins. The guy's still going to be a red zone threat on that offense as the wide receiver position. Chris Conley's gone, so there's really no other big wide receiver weapons there on the team that can really fight Sammy Watkins for that, other than, of course, Travis Kelce. But at wide receiver, Sammy Watkins should get plenty of red zone looks, and there should be plenty of other opportunity for him to kind of explode because, like last year, Patrick Mahomes is going to throw the ball a lot. That team's going to keep high-powered, high-speed, high-everything going. So Sammy Watkins right now, I think you can get him for dirt cheap. If people have already done their drafts, go out there and try to trade for him because people, they just don't want him anymore. So I think you can go and almost trade a kicker for Sammy Watkins. It's insane. Just try it out, see what you can do. But Sammy Watkins, get him on your roster because I think he's going to be better than what people are expecting him to be. But one team that I really want to talk about, and I've mentioned them already, is the Los Angeles Chargers, man. That offense is as high-powered as anybody out there. They got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, Melvin Gordon. It's full of firepower. So one of those names that I really like, Mike Williams. Hunter Henry is going to be taking away a lot of safety help up the middle there. And it's going to leave Mike Williams one-on-one in the red zone, and that's going to be dangerous for a guy that had double-digit touchdowns last season already. He's a really big guy, and he's hard to cover. So I just really like the outlook of Mike Williams. I love the outlook of Hunter Henry as well. Him and Phillip Rivers have historically kind of just been that 1-2 buckle my shoe, kill it type of combination between the two of them. So I really like that combination of Hunter Henry, Mike Williams there, and it opens the whole running game up for Melvin Gordon even more there. So love that team.
Yeah, I do too. I think the Chargers have a lot of talent. Hunter Henry is probably one of my favorite guys, and I'm looking to try to get him as much as I can. Mm-hmm. I just look, if you look backwards 2018, this time last year, he was touted as like one of the biggest names to draft, and then he went down with that injury before the season started, and it was just heartbreaking to see it. And so I think he's going to step right back into that role. The team needs him, and I think he performs. So I like Hunter Henry a lot. I also think Austin Eckler. You look at Eckler, and with this news of Melvin Gordon, Eckler could be a guy that you can get a little deeper in the draft this year that could easily catapult into a top 15 running back if Melvin Gordon ends up holding out or he ends up getting traded.
Are you a believer in Eckler, or do you think Justin Jackson comes in there and starts taking some carries as well? He's already getting used heavily in some of the offseason work. Melvin Gordon not showing up and stuff. So Justin Jackson, a guy who's not even being drafted in a lot of leagues, could end up being the guy that takes the job.
Yeah, I don't think he takes the job because I think Eckler has been serviceable. I mean, you got to understand, last year, this is how serviceable Eckler was when Gordon was out. So Eckler averaged more rushing or more yards per rush than Melvin Gordon did in the season. So, look, I think if the team looks at it, it's not out of the question that the LA Chargers trade Melvin Gordon and just say, hey, we're not going to deal with this. Like, we're getting more than enough production out of our other backs. So yeah, I think Jackson gets an uptick if Gordon's not there. But I think Eckler's the guy still you want to own. And you're getting him deep enough in a draft where I think the value that you get would pay off. I mean, he's going deep in the draft, and he's a guy that could easily be a top 15 back that should be drafted in the second to third round. So,
do you think Melvin Gordon gets traded, or do you think he gets signed?
Well, so let me break this into two categories. If I'm the GM, I'm trading him because why?
But you're not.
Why would I pay? Why pay him? He's has injuries every year, but 1 year he's been injured. He's missed games. I mean, you look at the team. You look at the team's other running backs. They're averaging roughly the same yards per carry that he's averaging. Now, I get it. Melvin Gordon's one of those guys you go, wow, the talent is unbelievable. It jumps off the page. But you also have a system and a team around you that I think helps that tremendously. So, if I'm a GM, I'm probably looking to see if anybody wants to trade for him. Another team that would want to. I mean, you just got Melvin Gordon for the last 4 years for dirt cheap. So why not? Why not move on from him now and let some of these other youngsters kick in? I mean, think about it. Phillip Rivers probably going to play another 4 or 5 years, if that. Your windows right now anyway. My thought is this: if they were going to pay him, why wouldn't they have already?
Why hasn't the Cowboys paid Zeke? But you don't think they're going to?
Totally. Well, I don't think they're going to, but I also think totally different situation. Zeke is at a different point in his career. He's still got another year left on that deal. So I mean, this is Zeke's 4th year, and he's got his 5th year option next year. He has to get through as well. And I don't think Dallas resigns him. I think Dallas will trade him. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see what happens. And then finally, the Broncos. There's some sneaky value picks here, actually. Of course, you got Phillip Lindsay, who I still love. The team, I think, is going to rush the ball quite heavily this coming season to kind of keep the team healthy, keep it rolling. Vic Fangio, he's going to want to just be smash mouth and defensive a lot of the time. So that's actually one of the bigger things. I really like Denver Broncos defense this coming season with Fangio there and all the talent, of course, that they have on that defense. So, but on offense, I'm a big fan of Manny Sanders. I'm a big fan of Phillip Lindsay. I do think that there's sneaky value with Royce Freeman there, just kind of being the goal line back, the guy who's going to be there to kind of steal some carries and get a couple of first and second down carries there, here and there from Lindsay. So I think this is one of those sneaky teams that you can get some people for dirt cheap and they'll produce for you.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so let's keep this moving. Let's move on. Hit up the NFC West.
NFC West.
So, what?
That was a really deep one.
My goodness.
Mad on that one. That was an angry NFC West.
Demon NFC
It was angry
West.
that he had to talk about it. That's why.
I don't want to talk about this.
Jeez, BS.
NFC West, again, another high-powered offensive and actually high-powered defensive division as well. A lot of confusion in terms of outside of the Rams, who's it going to be? The Cardinals might take a big step forward. The Seahawks always are contenders. They're one of the best rushing offenses in the league. And then out of nowhere, the San Francisco 49ers, man, they get Jimmy Garoppolo back. This was a team last year that was one of those dark horse picks for Super Bowl just because of Jimmy Garoppolo being there and some Kyle Shanahan help and the whole offensive help that they got in there. So they add more offensive help. They add a little bit more defensive help as well. This is a sneaky good team that could make the playoffs this coming season. It could knock teams like the Seahawks out or anything like that. So I'm going to start it off with, of course, the best team in the division. I think the division winner, the Rams. Man, they got some big names, but my favorite, I think, for both draft price and just for talent, I love Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is, when he was healthy, he was top 2 wide receiver with Jared Goff throwing it to him constantly in the red zone. Even on deep plays, he was getting used often. I love Cooper Kupp. Gerald Everett is a sneaky tight end pick here. Brian, who do you kind of like on this team?
Yeah, so I like the pretty much everybody on the team. I don't think there's anybody specifically. I think Cooper Kupp is kind of the guy that that kind of shouts out to me on paper. But I think it's hard to have a bad pick here. Even Todd Gurley if you can get him in the late second, if he slides to you that deep, I would say, hey, you take a flyer on Gurley. I am a little nervous about his knee. I've made that very apparent over the last few episodes. But he's still a guy that if you can get him in the second, I don't think you pass on him. That's about where I would say you take him. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I mean, I like Cooper Kupp a lot.
I think the guy my favorite guy in this entire division to draft right now is Dante Pettis. I think he just has a massive opportunity with the 49ers to become Jimmy Garoppolo's number one. He led the league in separation from corners with like 2.5 yards of separation on average from corners. He's a really talented wide receiver. He's not just a deep threat guy. He can be used all over the field. I see a lot of potential here so long as Jimmy G can stay healthy and they're not going through a carousel of different quarterbacks again.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, obviously George Kittle is another guy you don't want to miss. I mean, we drafted him in our listener league, which was a big deal.
Yeah, we got him in the 4th, which is biggest steal ever. But anyway,
early 4th. I don't know about the biggest steal ever, but it was a good pick. So I mean, George Kittle is definitely a guy. I don't know if you saw this, but I follow him on Instagram, and he's been working out, trying to get stronger. So could have another huge year coming ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. So with the Seahawks, I mean, there's a lot of confusion, and I wouldn't say confusion. There's a lot of up in the air, right? Tyler Lockett, I really love him. I think he's going to be great. But I think there's a name here that no one's talking about that was showing a lot of. It was a very small sample size, but it was a eye-opening sample size, and that's a little Mr. Will Disley at tight end there. They didn't really add anybody else. Will Disley comes back from a pretty nasty injury from last season. Russell Wilson likes to throw the tight ends in the end zone. He always has. So Will Disley coming to town, I think it's just another big opportunity for him to kind of, so long as he can stay healthy, be one of those tight ends that no one drafts and can be a big contributor to your fantasy team.
I also like David Moore. Mm-hmm. I think he could be a sneaky pick. late in the draft. Guy that didn't have a lot of work last year because of Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett just having great seasons, right? I mean, they both had wonderful seasons. So there wasn't really a lot of opportunity for David Moore. Here comes a giant opening. And I know everybody's hot to trot on DK Metcalf. Everybody's freaking out about him. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 2. But David Moore is a sneaky pick, and he could be the guy that really sees a little bit more time. It's not like he was bad. He was averaging 17 yards per reception last year, 26 receptions for 445 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season, and that was with very little playing time. So, I think he's a guy that he stats out a little closer to what Doug Baldwin left on the table. So 2 inches taller, about the same weight. So, I think David Moore could be a guy that surprises people. So keep him on your radar. If you see him deep in a draft, maybe take a flyer on him, pick him up on your team.
Yeah, and I think another guy that kind of take a flyer on, I know this goes against my philosophy of never drafting rookie receivers, but I'm really big on Andy Isabella this coming season. He's already being listed as the slot receiver in the Arizona Cardinals offense. I think he holds on to that role. And kind of, I think they're going to do a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. Let's just put it out there because it's going to be the air raid offense. So I think both Andy Isabella and Larry Fitzgerald will both be on the field a lot, to go with Christian Kirk and to go with Hakeem Butler sometimes as well. But I think this team's going to be using a lot of 3 wide, 4 wide sets, and Andy Isabella is going to be out there a lot. I think this is one of those guys, he's got some of the best route running abilities out of this entire draft class. And he kind of reminds me of Julian Edelman and other guys, even the footwork of like Antonio Brown. He's really good. So I think this is a guy that can get open a lot, and Kyler Murray might be looking his way a lot come really soon. So keep an eye on him in training camp. I know I will be. And if Kyler Murray's showing a connection during the preseason, I think it's game over. Andy Isabella is one of those guys I might go against my philosophy of not drafting rookie wide receivers, and I'll go for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. I would say the other guy, which is a no-brainer, would be David Johnson. There's been a lot of reports about him running out of the slot as well, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see a 5 wide receiver set or dynamic set where he's motioned out to the slot, a 3 wide receiver bunch or something like that. So, So he's a guy that I definitely say you don't want to miss out on him. If he's there, come your pick. It seems like you're not reaching on him. Definitely keep David Johnson in your mind. I wouldn't be nervous about the fact you have a rookie quarterback or anything like that. They're going to use him a lot. They want to get him very involved.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot more of a dynamic offense than it was last year. And it's got a lot of potential with what is kind of being talked about there and what they're going to do. So I'm a lot more excited about the Cardinals this year than I ever was last season. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for our outlooks. If you'd like to see where we have any of these guys that we just talked about, where we have them ranked, make sure to visit our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, and check out our player rankings, where you can see our running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, pretty much everything that you can think of, and where we have those players ranked. So, all right, Brian, let's play a game. So this week, I'm going to hit you with what I like to call Would You Rather Bracket Fire. And so what that means is that I'm going to hit you with a slew of different Would You Rather questions, and whoever wins out of those questions is going to move forward in the bracket, so on and so forth. Use our bracketology to get to the winner at the very end.
Trademark
bracketology. It's actually a real word. It doesn't need to be trademarked. It's going to be AFC and NFC West themed. So one side of the bracket is going to be AFC teams or AFC players, and the other side is going to be NFC players. And Brian, I'm going to hit you with the AFC players that you would rather have on your team based on their skill sets, their draft price, and everything else. And then, Brian, I want you to hit me with the NFC side of things. So,
I'm in.
I'm going to hit you with AFC. I hope you're ready. It's going to be rapid fire. No time to think. First name that comes to your head, you say yes. All right?
All right. Am I going first?
You're going first.
I don't know what to say about this. All right, I'm ready.
The first one is Tyreek Hill or Keenan Allen.
Tyreek Hill.
Next one. Damian Williams, Melvin Gordon.
Gordon.
Mike Williams, Hunter Henry.
Henry.
Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers.
Mahomes.
All right, so now we got Tyreek Hill versus Melvin Gordon, and then Hunter Henry versus Patrick Mahomes. Let's get her going.
All right, I'm ready.
Tyreek Hill, Melvin Gordon.
Gordon.
Ooh. Hunter Henry or Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes.
Oh. All right, here's the final. Melvin Gordon versus Patrick Mahomes. Hit me.
Gordon.
Commissioner. Commish. All right. So on the AFC side, we've got Melvin Gordon. All right, Brian, I'm going to need you to hit me with the NFC side here.
Just want to ask a question. I just rapid fired that without any idea what the stipulations were. Was it, I just went with like, hey, who would I rather have if I were drafting a team and Gordon goes in the first round, Mahomes doesn't, I'm going to go Gordon. So I just want to preference that. If it were pure points, I'm going Mahomes 100%. So I just want to put that out there before I get ripped apart on Twitter tomorrow.
Again, I said in the beginning, it's based on draft price and everything else. So, Melvin Gordon. All right.
Gords. All right, Chad. So are you ready? You're going to knock out these NFC teams, and I'm going to read them off to you, just like you did to me. Rapid fire. You don't get any time to think. Just go. All right? Are you ready?
All right.
Let's do it.
More than ready.
All right, Chad. Here we go. Robert Woods or Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooks.
Tevin Coleman or Todd Gurley?
Oh, Todd Gurley.
Dante Pettis or David Johnson?
David Johnson.
Chris Carson or George Kittle?
Oh, Kittle. Kittle and bits.
I knew it. All right, round 2. Ready?
Get it.
Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley. Come on.
Draft price, Brandon Cooks.
All right. David Johnson or George Kittle?
George Kittle.
What? All right. Last one. Brandon Cooks or George Kittle?
Kittle me some bits.
Kittle some bits to you. You're done. All right. So, I can't believe you took freaking George Kittle over David Johnson. That blew my mind. All right. So,
love him.
George Kittle was your guy. So, George Kittle and
Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Gordon. I almost forgot who I picked. I had Todd Gurley in my brain. I was like, Todd Gordon. That's what was in my brain.
Todd
Todd
Gordon.
My brain hurts right now. All right. Are we gonna? How do we?
Yeah. What
do we fight? Do we fight now?
do we have them fight now?
Yeah. Congratulations, George Kittle and Melvin Gordon. You need to find each other and fight. The good news is one's in San Francisco, the other one's in Los Angeles, so they should be easy to find.
It's right down the road.
Meet in the middle.
So
on the beach, pick your weapon of choice and
beach
fight
towel
to the death. Beach battle. That's right.
Okay, so we're going to put Melvin Gordon against George Kittle, and we're going to leave it up to you, Twitter. Who are you picking between the two? In terms of draft price, their value, their skill at their position, fantasy outlook, and everything between Melvin Gordon and George Kittle. It sounds crazy, but having a good tight end, can make or break your season for you. So put it up to vote. Melvin Gordon, George Kittle. All right, Brian, let's read some reviews.
You love me. You really love me.
All right, this first one comes in from Jacob Vivette. Bros being dudes. Having a few brothers myself, I really appreciate the back and forth with these bros. Super good show, down to earth, and easy listening to. These bros know what they're talking about and are fun to listen to too. Thank you, Jacob. Jacob is also in our listener league currently, and you know what? He's got himself a great team, so I'm not scared of it. Brian, you should be scared of it, but I'm personally the best team in the league, so I'm not scared of anything. I'm also the best in the world, so I just kind of go off with that.
I am frightened. And you know what else I'm frightened about? This how amazing this next review is. Are you ready for this?
Hit me with
it. This one comes in from Engineer SCU, titled, "You Were Absolutely Right." And before I read this review, I do remember a Twitter conversation with this fella a while back, and he asked me something about the pod. I said, hey, just give it a listen. I think you're going to love it. And so he actually reviewed it. And so here is his review. He says, this pod is full of original content, rankings, hot takes, and great segments. It brings a comedy element you will only see between bros. You said I would love it on Twitter, and you were absolutely correct. Love the NFL draft preview and can't wait for the fresh new content in coming episodes. Definitely a favorite pod now. Keep it coming. Well, Engineer SCU, we appreciate it. I'm glad you loved the show. I'm glad you gave it a shot. And I'm glad that I'm your biggest fan. I'm sure I kind of read it through your tone. It feels like to me that we're connected through the voice of podcast and also through just the energy of life. So appreciate everything that you did here in this review, and Godspeed.
You make him go boom laugh, Brian. Knock it off. And this last one comes in from Cat Breath, who says, best fantasy show. Love this show. Love the information and how it's delivered. Have referred it to many friends. Love how they respond to you and don't make you feel dumb with questions asked of them. Overall, fun listening and interacting with them. Keep up the good work. Cheers and some beers glasses. Cat Breath, great name. And secondly, I'd love to cheers you a beer as well. So whenever Brian and I decide to maybe one day take this up on the road, maybe we'll meet up and have a couple brewskis. We'll see what's up. Thank you for the review. Very kind words. Thank you for referring it to friends. That's one of the biggest ways that we're growing is just through word of mouth referrals. We're doing what we can on Twitter, but I mean, honestly, you, the listeners, you guys do everything for us. You're the best out there in the world. So thank you so much for sharing this with your friends, family, wherever it may be. If you don't want to share it, we totally get it. We have the best advice out there in the market right now. You don't want to kind of give that up. It's understandable. You want to win your leagues. You don't want other people to be there. But if you're looking for some good, healthy competition, go ahead and refer us.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way, right? You know, you can keep it from your friends, and I'm sure you're going to dominate your league. But then it gets boring after a while being the guy that destroys everything all the time. So, you want to share it. You want to share the bros with everybody. That way, everyone in the league gets better, and it will test you. It'll test your might. So definitely any sharing you can give us, we appreciate it.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Be sure to tune in every Monday to stay up to date on the fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football league.
Yeah, also be sure to check out keytothetitle.com so you can learn more about our Key to the Title system. We are so close to going live, likely in the next week or so. So be sure to check out keytothetitle.com. And you can support our podcast at jointhebromob.com to become an official BroMobster.
If you're not on Apple Podcasts, we're also on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcast, or wherever it is that you listen. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FFBros Podcast, and be sure to check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of articles, rankings, and more. See you next week, BroMob.
Bye, everybody.